Suddenly, from 1954, was a crime thriller starring Frank Sinatra and Sterling Hayden, directed by Lewis Allen. The film opens up with a small town, and we see the sheriff, who is Tod Shaw, played by Sterling Hayden, and he's just hanging out in town, and he's chatting with Ellen Benson, played by Nancy Gates, at a local store, and he's got a fondness for her, but we find out she's a widow of 3 years, and she's not ready for a relationship just yet. While her son Pidge thinks very highly of the sheriff, and you know where this film's going to go, but let's just see what happens. So his romantic interests are soon interrupted as a telegraph arrives, and basically saying the President of the United States will soon be in town, arriving by train, and he needs protection provided from the sheriff's department. Well, soon enough, some government officials arrive, and there's an introduction made, and they start making plans for the presidential arrival. Now, the feds are led by Agent Dan Carney, who's played by Willis Bouchey, a character actor I know I've seen in a bunch of films. I want to say Dobie Gillis, stuff like that. But anyhow, the feds ask about one house in particular near the tracks, and it turns out that this belongs to old Pete Benson, who coincidentally used to be in the Secret Service long ago. He's played by James Gleason, who I caught recently in the film The Bishop's Wife. He played the comical cabbie character. That was a great film. Well, he and Ellen are having a disagreement about having guns to play with. 1950s era dilemmas. And she's against things like that because, well, she's still grieving the loss of her husband from the war. But anyhow, this whole situation is interrupted as a big group of these state troopers arrive in town, and it's about this time we're introduced to our trio of villains, who are led by John Barron, played by Frank Sinatra. And they've showed up, and they head to the Benson house, and they're pretending to be FBI agents in order to get in. Now, Frank Sinatra's character, Barron, he's this smooth criminal, and he has careful excuses, basically saying, hey, they're the FBI, they're there to protect the president, and so on. And the Bensons are all cool with it so far. Now, one of Barron's goons was actor Paul Frees, who plays the character Benny. Paul Frees, the ghost host of the Haunted Mansion. Welcome, foolish mortals. I love it. Well, anyhow, Sheriff Shaw and Agent Carney show up at the house. And because Barron can't maintain this deception anymore of being an FBI agent, the gig is up, and basically Barron and his gang open fire. So they kill Carney and injure Shaw. Barron gives everyone a rundown to basically behave, or the kid is going to die. The film becomes kind of like a hostage situation film for like the rest of the film. And, he does help set Todd's arm painfully. And I like Sinatra here a lot. He really does this good job as this creepy bad guy character, with an interesting past that we kind of learn as the film progresses. Well, he's getting ready to do this assassination from the window. So Ellen goes, bandages up the sheriff's arm. Barron remains fairly civil for the most part, but hey, like when the kid Pidge mouths off to him, he's not afraid to smack him down. I mean, come on, that's not good, man, but he's got a short fuse that we can see. Well, out of the blue, the TV repairman shows up, played by actor James O'Hara, who I think used to be a police officer in the old Batman series. Well, he's soon brought in as one of the hostages as well, and Barron is hungry, and he has Ellen get him some food. And she's momentarily debating using a knife to kill him, but, he easily apprehends it. And she says things like, haven't you got any feelings? And he just responds coldly, no, I haven't. They were taken out of me by experts. And we see that he's this mentally troubled war hero. And Sinatra really plays this role really well. I think this is the only film he actually plays a bad guy in. He's more heroic in most of his films, but not this one. He says lines like, show me a guy with feelings, and I'll show you a sucker. Yeah. Well, the sheriff questions why Barron is doing all this. He gives a little more background on his rough past and basically explains to everyone that he doesn't care about the reasoning of this assassination or anything. He just wants the money. And it's neat as he's giving his little bit of exposition there. There's a scene where Sinatra's character just kind of speaks directly to the camera. I don't think they intentionally broke the fourth wall, but I still like stuff like that in a film. Well, back in town, Benny, Paul Frees, he's checking on the status of the train. But because the police are on the lookout for anything suspicious, they apprehend him. And they start asking him a lot of questions he can't give answers to. And the deputy here, Slim, who is played by actor Paul Wexler, he's very suspicious. They draw guns, there's a brief shootout, and both get shot. And Paul Frees is mortally injured, because he's got to head out to the haunted mansion. Of course, there's always my way. Well, the police are on the move, and they're investigating everywhere, and they're more suspicious that something is going on up at the house on the hill where everybody's at. So they go to investigate, but the question is, will they get there on time? Will they be there before the president arrives? Will the bad guys succeed? Well, check out the film for yourself to see. I enjoyed this film. It's got a very suspenseful ending. Very creative ending, too. A little bit of MacGyverisms going on. So watch this one for yourself. And just some quick closing thoughts. I really like Sinatra here. And it's just strange thinking about it that, growing up, I knew of Frank Sinatra as a singer, the Rat Pack, and all that stuff. But I really knew very little about his films. I watched and reviewed Von Ryan's Express a while ago and enjoyed that. But here he is just straight up the bad guy, and he really does a wonderful job. It's funny thinking about it, probably my earliest memories of Sinatra would actually be Phil Hartman's depiction of him on the old Saturday Night Live back in the early 90s. I need to explore more of his old films, I think. And Sterling Hayden, of course, is a great actor, but I gotta be honest here, this probably wasn't one of my favorite roles to see him in. I mean, he was incredible in The Asphalt Jungle from 1950 as the criminal on the run following the botched robbery, and he was absolutely remarkable as the hard-edged detective chomping on toothpicks in the movie Crime Wave in 1954. Well, here, he's just a sheriff in a small town, and he does a convincing job, but it's really nothing exceptional. And gotta be honest, Frank Sinatra's character really steals the show in this film. And it was interesting reading some of the details about this film. Apparently, Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly watched this film days before the JFK assassination. Well, that's the movie Suddenly from 1954. It was an enjoyable crime film. It's worth checking out.